Hey guys, welcome back to my small engines question and answers video series. Today's video number 106. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in again this week. Also, I want to tell you guys I'm trying to make the Q&A slightly longer because I only do them twice a month. That way it gives me more time to give you guys more information like that. And during the week I received all these stickers and a patch here from a guy in California. He's another YouTuber, by the way, and this is his businesses. So if you're in the California area, you can actually check these guys out if you need some work done. So if you need muffler and brake work done, check these guys out. And at the same time, you can bring in your small engines to be looked at. And the guy's name is John Howard. Actually, I think this is a picture of him here with one of his cars. Anyways, thanks again, John, for sending these stickers. I'll be posting some in my shop. In my first question today, sometimes people ask me, how come the mowing blades on my lawn tractor with an electric clutch do not engage? For the answer I'm going to give you today, I'm assuming that the clutch is still good, that all the wiring and the belt on your lawn tractor is good. I'm just going to use this John Deere 175 here as an example. And here's the switch for the blades. You just basically flip it up like this and then the blades automatically engage. There's no mechanical levers to lift up or anything to get the blades going on this tractor. So this is the kind of system I'm talking about today. So here's what happens sometimes, and it can be a very easy fix for you. It can be that the battery needs to be replaced. Sometimes the battery's too weak to send enough amps for the electric clutch to engage the blades. So the tractor may be running, you turn the switch on, but the blades don't turn. But an even easier fix can be that the terminal wires need to be cleaned. Sometimes you need to replace the connector or the eyelet over here, or just clean the posts or the terminals, and then it's going to work. What happens is if these are dirty, there's not enough power going through the electrical system of the tractor to power up the electric clutch on your lawn tractor. So check these things first before buying a new clutch, because a new clutch is really expensive, and oftentimes people think, well, it can't be that easy to repair. Well, the answer is yes, it can be that easy. I've seen it many times where the battery posts are dirty or the battery is done. It just doesn't have enough amps left in it, and people are wondering what's going on. I've seen a guy bring in his tractor, did not want to buy a new battery in the past because I had told him it needed to be replaced a long time ago, and when he came back he said my blades are not engaging, and it just ended up being the battery. So again, to start off, the cheapest way is clean the terminals, charge up the battery, and go from there. You can also take in your battery to any automotive store or small engine shop, and they can test the battery to tell you if the cranking amps are still good in the battery before you buy a new one. Now, in some previous Q&As, I showed my test drum for outboard motors outside my shop, and some people are asking me what's the cheapest way to fill it with water, because if you live in a town, they're going to charge you for all the water that you put into that drum. Well, I'm just going to show you an easy way using your eaves trough to fill up your drum. What you can do is direct your eaves trough drain right to the drum. And I'm assuming that it does rain where you live because it's been pretty dry in the US this summer. But when you do get rain, just one rainfall can fill up the whole 45-gallon drum with water. When it was dry here this summer as well, I had to use my garden hose, and because I get charged by the town for all my water consumption, it does get expensive. This way here it's cheap, it costs nothing, and it fills up in no time. In one of my previous Q&As, I showed how you can use these muffs here, connected to your garden hose, to test your outboard motor if you don't have a test tank. Well, the other day a friendly YouTuber reminded me that if you use these muffs, and because the water in it is pressurized from your garden hose, that it can actually be misleading to tell if your impeller is working properly. The reason for that is because, like I mentioned, the water is pressurized in the garden hose. It can actually make the water flow through the motor and out the small hole over here on its own without the engine running. This is the little drain hole here I showed you previously to tell if your impeller is working properly, because if it is, the water will be spraying out of here when the engine's running. That's assuming you're in a test tank or something like that. So if you're wanting to test your engine to make sure that the impeller is working properly, it may not be the best idea to use the muffs with pressurized water from your garden hose. It's better to test it in a test drum like this, because then the engine has to pump the water up on its own. So it's just a tip. I just thought I'd mention it to you guys because it could be deceiving if you want to make sure that the impeller is working properly. Now, if you're not testing to see if the impeller is working properly, the muffs will do just fine. And another thanks goes out to that YouTuber for that good tip. Last week I posted a video on a carburetor rebuild on a Steel FS38 trimmer, and I received a lot of questions since then. One YouTuber sent me a comment saying it makes no difference whatsoever when he tries to adjust the carburetor on the performance of his grass trimmer. Now, what I recommend doing in this case is replacing the carburetor kit as I did in this video. I'm going to put the link to that video beneath today's Q&A so you can easily access it. Now, another thing I forgot to mention in that carburetor repair video, and a lot of YouTubers reminded me about it, is if it still doesn't run after replacing the carb kit like I did in the video, just replace the whole carburetor. Another tip I want to share with you guys too is if you're not too mechanically inclined, it might just be cheaper for you guys to just go buy a whole new carburetor. They're not that expensive and they come all assembled with the new diaphragms, so all you have to do is put it on. Another question I got this week, and which I often get, is can I run a lawnmower motor without the blade on it? Well, the answer to that is no, because if you do, it's going to be really hard to start. It's probably going to kick back when you go to start it, and it's going to over rev as well if you do get it started. Now, the reason that you cannot do this is because the blade acts as a flywheel. The flywheel on most lawnmowers is made of aluminum, so it's really light. And if you don't have the blade on, which is made of metal, the engine just doesn't have that momentum. That's why in rototillers and pressure washers with an engine that is vertical like this, you're going to have a flywheel that is made of cast iron, which is really heavy. Now, another way you could run your lawnmower engine without the blade is if you found a flywheel from a similar engine that is made of cast iron and just did a swap. Then you could use your lawnmower engine without the blade on. Another question I often get, and sometimes YouTubers send me their videos of their lawnmower, and that is, why does my lawnmower engine surge up and down? It's really annoying. Well, 9 times out of 10, this is caused by a dirty carburetor because the engine is starving for fuel. It could also be that the governor is not adjusted properly. But the first thing I recommend you to do is clean the carburetor, or if you have an old Briggs engine with a diaphragm between the carburetor and the fuel tank, then replace the diaphragm first. Try it. If it still does it, then it could be that you need to replace the whole carburetor. Sometimes on lawnmowers, just like little 2-cycle engines, like on grass trimmers that I talked earlier, you do have to replace the whole carburetor if all else fails. Before you give up on your carburetor though, you can maybe go to a small engine shop and pay them to clean it in their ultrasonic cleaner if they have one, or if you own one yourself, clean it in the ultrasonic cleaner. It's going to come out as good as new. If it still doesn't work after coming out of that cleaner, then don't waste any time wondering if you should get a carburetor. Just go and get one. Now, my last question today, sometimes people ask me, why does my lawnmower kick back when I go to start it? And also, it's very hard to start. So the biggest culprit causing kickback on lawnmower engines is a sheared or broken flywheel key. What can cause your flywheel key to get damaged is if you hit a hard stump, a rock, or that your lawnmower comes to a sudden stop when it's running at high speed. What happens is the pressure is all on the flywheel key. It's a sacrificial part. It's made to break before any other more expensive parts break in your engine. On your lawnmower with a Briggs engine, it's typically going to look like this. And on your lawnmower with a Tecumseh engine, it's more than likely going to look like this. So if there's any damage at all to these keys, it's going to throw off the ignition timing of your lawnmower, and it may not start. It may kick back hard when you go to start it, and if it does start, it may not run properly. These parts here only cost a few dollars to buy. It's just the work involved in putting them in that some people may have a hard time with. I do have a video that shows I replaced the flywheel key on your lawnmower, and I will post a link to that video underneath this video here today. So that'll be it for today's Q&A. I want to welcome all my new subscribers as well. Thanks for watching. Have yourselves a great weekend, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.